So I want to introduce myself and go over some of this Nerium business with you guys. First of all, I really appreciate your time. I know that there are a lot of things you could be doing right now, and so I don't take for granted that you have chosen to get on this call with me. Just a little bit about myself for those of you who I don't know. I have been a brand partner with Nerium for almost 3 years. October will be 3 years for me, but I have a lot of experience in this industry. I have actually been selling skincare in the direct marketing arena for about 14 years. I was with one company for 10 years, started with them, ended with them. Unfortunately, it was great to be part of a ground floor opportunity, but not so great that the company never got off the ground. And so I had gotten used to the whole concept of direct marketing in those 10 years. That, I was making six figures. I got to be at the bus stop with my son. I got to be at every soccer tournament. I got to, travel when I wanted to. And so when my company went out of business, I knew I wanted to stay in the industry. So I looked for another company that would be a smooth transition. So I decided to stick with skincare and was with a company out of California for about 18 months. And I had ramped up my income, and I was their number one salesperson and, feeling pretty good about things when my girlfriend approached me about Nerium. And my first reaction to her was, no, thank you. Like, no way. I just rebuilt what I had lost, and I'm not going to do it again. That was sort of my mode at the time. I wasn't really interested. So she sent me a bottle to try and magazines to look at and videos to watch and calls like this to get on, and I didn't do any of it. And it was several months before I finally agreed to talk to her. And I'm grateful to this day that she didn't give up on me. So some of you listening on this call might be laughing to yourself because it sounds familiar. Maybe somebody's been, talking to you about Nerium for several months and you're finally deciding to take a listen. And as soon as I really took the time to hear what was going on with Nerium, I knew that was where I needed to go. I knew what I was being offered. I knew that timing was essential. I knew that it would be my last run, that if I could get on board with Nerium, I could really create something that was going to pay me for the rest of my life and help a lot of people along the way. So I had to resign from my job because I was selling another skincare line. So I had to literally call the CEO and tell her I was leaving, and started at zero with 0 customers, 0 team members, 0 income, and was able to plug into our system with Nerium and replace that income with only about 4 months. By my 4th month, I had hit national marketing director. I'd earned my Lexus. I'd earned a trip. I'd earned a $50,000 bonus and was well on my way to helping other people do the same thing. So that's my story and a little bit about my background. The purpose of the call tonight is just to really lay it out for you what's happening at Nerium. As somebody on the inside, whenever I come across somebody that doesn't get it or doesn't understand or is so skeptical that they get in their own way, I literally inside, I want to shake them, like, oh my gosh, you don't get it. But at the same time, that's so necessary. I understand that if everybody got it, if everybody believed in Nerium, if everybody was on board with it, if everybody was excited about it and out there singing its praises, it wouldn't be as much of an opportunity. So I understand the need for skepticism, and I welcome it because I have so much conviction for, what I do and who I do it with and how I do it. But it's the people that I love that are close to me that when they don't, take a look at it, it can be really frustrating. So the purpose of this call is just to give you the information. Not to try to convince you to do something you don't want to do, but really just to give you an idea of what's at stake for you and, what the possibilities are. So I kind of like to break this down into, why Nerium, why now, why you? And that's kind of the format of this call. So I'm going to start with why Nerium. One of the things that I appreciate about Nerium on a corporate level is that we don't really try to sell you on a comp plan. We try to sell you on a culture. We want to be the company that's known for having integrity, doing things the right way, slowing down to go fast, building something that benefits you long term as opposed to lining the pockets of the CEOs. And then there's this trail of tears behind, of all these people that were overpromised and underdelivered. We want to be the company that when a new market hears that we're coming, they get excited because our reputation precedes us. We want to be the company that's known for service, for serving, for giving back, and for creating products that are life-changing on so many levels. And that's really what we strive for, from Jeff Olson, our CEO, all the way down. So when you're looking at a company in an industry like this, we have to have a good product, you have to have good leadership culture, and you have to have a good comp plan. Those are kind of the three areas that you want to look at. So our products really speak for themselves, and I say that quite honestly. We are the company that is bringing to market products that are backed by real science, that are brought to us by biotech companies, that are accidental discoveries. And one thing that we know about accidental discoveries is that they work, right? That's what an accidental discovery is. They were looking for one thing and they found, well, here's what it's doing for something else. So, for example, our Nerium eye cream, which is our signature flagship product, they were looking for a cure for melanoma. These scientists have been working with this biomass for years. Unfortunately, haven't found the cells affected the way they wanted to as far as melanoma goes, but the quote-unquote side effect, if you will, is that it affects all these signs of aging, fine lines and wrinkles, tone and texture, hyperpigmentation, pore size, elasticity, all of that. So they decided to bring it to market, and they used Nerium, or they used direct marketing because it's the number one way to get a product to a consumer globally. And this product was made to go global. Keep the cost down and get it out to the masses. So that's our niche in the market. EHT, same thing. Another biotech company. They saw what we did with Nerium AD. They wanted their life's work to be represented by Nerium International. They wanted to go direct marketing. They fell in love with our model. Then they fell in love with our culture of people who really want to just make people better, people who believe that all ships rise with the tide, people who can get behind something and share it with a few friends, and then they share it with a few friends, and they share it with a few friends, and so on. So when you do something well and with integrity, good opportunities come to you. So that being said, all of our product lines, what we have currently and what we'll have in the future, will always be first to market, have global patents, so nobody else can copy it. You can't get, our exclusive formulas in any other product. You're never going to find another skin cream that has our signature Nate in it. You're never going to find another supplement that has EHT in it, or SL14, which is in our international product. First to market, global patents backed by years of scientific research, and that are making a difference, that are proven to work. Not just something that works on a few people, but something that is proven to work for everyone. So that's our product niche. Now, that alone can give you a billion-dollar or multi-billion-dollar company. Just having a product in the market that works, especially in the area of anti-aging. The beauty industry, anti-aging, all the dollars going into that is propelling it towards a $1 trillion industry by 2025. A $1 trillion industry. It's growing at over $1 billion a month just in the United States. So if you're thinking about where do I want to put my resources, you want to think about this in general as a space that's evergreen, that's sticky, that people get into and stay in. Not necessarily electronics, not services, not, these kind of flash in the pan things, but beauty is not going anywhere. And the sweet spot of beauty is anti-aging, and we are cornering the anti-aging market. So we have our product. It's a product-driven company. It's not a pyramid. I like to say that because I know that you've probably heard it, or that, somebody that you've talked to says, a pyramid scheme or something like that. And what a pyramid means is that there's no product or service being exchanged for money. And we are a 100% product-driven company. If nobody buys any of our cream or our EHT, nobody makes any money. The second side of that is, do you have a product that could stand alone if there was no comp plan attached to it? If there wasn't, brand partners outselling this product, would the product survive in the marketplace? And that's what we have. A product-driven company where the product is the focus, and the second side of that is, even if we weren't brand partners, if it wasn't a model like this, could the product still be successful in the marketplace, sitting on the shelf next to whatever other creams or supplements are out there? Absolutely. The second piece of why Nerium is the leadership. You know, integrity, culture, all of that is something you really want to look at, because at the end of the day, somebody has to make decisions for you. Somebody has to be driving the bus with your best interests in mind. And Jeff Olson is probably the most coveted CEO in our industry. He's been the keynote speaker at the Global 100 for the last 16 years now, and the Global 100 is the top 100 companies in the world get together once a year, and you have to be obviously invited. You have to make the list. You know, these companies have been around for several years. They have, you know, well-developed product lines. They're in many, many countries, and Jeff Olson's been the keynote speaker at this summit for the last 16 years. He's the only person who's been invited to speak every year, and that's because they have so much respect for him. Right now, they're looking at Nerium, all these other CEOs and all these other companies in our industry, and they're going, what the heck? What are they doing so different? How come they have such mass momentum? How are they such a blessed company? Like, what are they doing? There's a lot of things that we're doing. And it all stems from Jeff Olson really believing that this is about making people better. It's about being real, being transparent, putting out a good product. And if you do that, the success is going to come. You don't have to hurt people. You don't have to lie to people. You don't have to put people in debt. You don't have to have inventory loads. You can just have an honest company with an honest product, and the people will come and support it. If you don't know anything about Jeff Olson, I would encourage you to Google him if you are considering this company as a business opportunity. He is known in the industry as the millionaire maker, which is quite different than being known as a millionaire, isn't it? He's known as the millionaire maker in the direct sales industry, and that, I think that says a lot about him. And then third piece of why Nerium is the comp plan. You know, nobody does this for free, right? We get free products, sure, but we also want to get paid. You know, we have things we want to buy. We have things we want to support. We have things we want to give to. And I guess what I want you to understand about our compensation plan is that it is designed for people like you and me who maybe don't have any sales experience, who don't know anything about skincare, who don't have a ton of time, who aren't salespeople, but are willing to plug into a really simple system and engage in the behaviors consistently that bring success. That's what we do. Let me give you an example. In many, many companies in our industry, the brand partners have to buy inventory, right? That's what keeps the companies going. They are dependent on the brand partners, the people who are selling it, to be the same people that are buying it. Well, Nerium does it a little differently, and we're the only company in the industry that does it differently. And this stems from Jeff Olson and his integrity, feeling like, you know what, you don't need to go into debt to be part of this industry. So, for example, when you make your initial investment to become a brand partner, your kit, there's several different levels of it depending on how much inventory you want to start with. And then you should never have to purchase another bottle of Nerium again, or another box of EHT, or any of our products. I personally, in 3 years, have never bought a bottle of Nerium. And the reason why is because they give it to you. You invest in Nerium one time, and they'll continue to invest in you as long as you're working your business. And what that looks like in a nutshell is every time you sign up a customer, every time you introduce someone to Nerium and they become a customer with us, you're going to get a free bottle of inventory. Plus, you're going to get paid. Every time you sign up someone to sell the product, you're going to get a free bottle of inventory. Plus, you're going to get paid. When your customers sign up customers, you get free inventory and paid, and so on and so on. So as you start building your business, you're continually getting free bottles of products sent back to you that Nerium is absorbing all that risk. And the reason why is because we know the stuff works. They know it works. So all you got to do is give it to people. Get it to people to test. And if you're not paying for it, then you're not as emotionally invested in it, and you're more free with who you give it to. You give it to the person that you just met that sat next to you on the airplane. You give it to the person you met at the pool on vacation. You give it to the barista at the coffee shop. You give it to the lady at the dry cleaner. Now, you're going to follow up with her to see what she thinks and try to get a customer out of it. But you know what? If you never see that bottle again, Nerium's the one that invested that $100, not you. And the only way we could give inventory to brand partners for free, give inventory to customers for free, and still be the fastest growing company in the history of this market is if the product actually worked. It was pretty risky to bank everything on before and after photos and free bottles if the product didn't work, right? So that's one part of our compensation plan that can put your mind at ease, is you will never have a garage full of inventory. You will never have a trunk full of inventory. Your credit card will never be racked up because you were buying inventory to buy your position, to buy your paycheck, to support your team or whatever. Nerium's absorbing all that risk for you. So that kind of explains why Nerium's a good choice, right? We've got the product that nobody else can compete with. We have leadership that nobody can compete with, and we have a compensation plan that's designed for people who can come in and make money right away. It's kind of this trickle in the beginning. Maybe it's grocery money, gas money, car payment money. Then it becomes a flow as you start building your organization and building more customers. It's a flow of money. Maybe it's mortgage money. Maybe it's new car money, vacation money. And then it becomes a flood, which is life-changing money, which is I'm buying myself a condo in Colorado. I'm traveling the world with my kids. I'm everyone's paying for my kids' college fund, my grandkids' college funds, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a trickle, a flow, and a flood. And the only way that you do not get to the flood is if you quit when you're still in the trickle phase. As long as you stay consistent, as long as you stay engaged, as long as you continue to share Nerium with your friends and your friends' friends, there is no way not to get to the big money. Now, how long is that going to take you? I don't know. It depends on who you meet along the way. It depends on how engaged you are. It depends on how much effort you want to put into it. But if you give it an hour a day and you're consistent with it, you're going to get there. So that brings me to the why now. We're still in that opposition, like I talked about at the beginning. We're still in that phase where people are like, man, I don't know about this Nerium thing. It's hard to believe that it could be so great as everybody says. I'm not really sure if EHT is all it's cracked up to be. I need to do some more research. Or I've heard about those pyramid schemes and they're no good or whatever. We're still in that opposition phase. That's the time you want to get in. And right now we have enough street cred, enough of proof that we're doing what we said we're going to do, right? We're on all of the TV shows. CBS did an investigative report on us. Now, they don't just do that for you or on you, I suppose, unless they need to, right? Unless there's enough people barking about it that they got to figure out what's going on. And the fact that they did a report, they asked the tough questions, they dug through our comp plan, they dug through our ingredients, they dug through our leadership, and came out with a glowing report on the news. You can't buy publicity like that. Plus, we've been on The Doctors, we've been on The View, we've been on all these different talk shows and shows. We're backstage at all the big award shows. We're in the magazines. We're getting a lot of street cred. Plus, the thousands and thousands and thousands of before and after pictures that flood into our home office that are all over Facebook. These are pictures of people like you and me, our friends, our customers, that are taking a photo before they start using the product and taking a photo again a few weeks after using the product or a month or two after using the product and sending them in and saying, wow, this stuff works. So we have enough street cred that, we can't be ignored, but yet there's still that opposition. That's when the timing is most ripe for getting in on something like this. We're also just beginning our global expansion. We have about 35 countries that we are triggered to go into over the next couple of years. We opened, let me just kind of give you paint a picture of what that means. So, for example, we opened in the United States in 2011. It took us 6 months to sell our first $1 million in inventory with the night cream. Now, that's because we did it belly to belly, grassroots, just I tell you, you tell a friend, you tell a friend, etc. There was no celebrity endorsements, no commercials, no catalogs, nothing. So 6 months to sell our first $1 million. By the end of our first year, we'd sold $100 million. So that shows you that once the grass fire starts, it really takes off. And then 2 years later, we opened Canada. It took us 2 weeks to sell our first $1 million in Canada. Then the following year, we opened Mexico. It took us 48 hours to sell our first $1 million in Mexico. And then we just, in the last couple of weeks, opened Korea. Now, Korea spends more money on anti-aging than all the other countries combined. They live, eat, and breathe anti-aging over there. They also live, eat, and breathe this model, the model of direct selling. They get it. They were very, very excited to have us. The reason we went to Korea first is because it's the hardest country to get into, the hardest country to get a license to do business in. And that's where we wanted to be. We wanted to be amongst the companies that had passed all those tests and that were exclusively allowed in Korea. And not only did we get in, we were the fastest company to ever attain that license. And the last time I checked, there were 20,000 Koreans that had pre-enrolled with us before we launched there. That means that they had filled out the paperwork to become a brand partner before we were even officially open. So as far as selling our first million in Korea, we probably did it, people probably bootlegged it in there before we actually opened. But that's just the beginning. We still are going to open Japan, we're going to open the Philippines, we're going to open Brazil, we're going to open Australia, we're going to open many, many countries. And you have the opportunity to capitalize on that momentum, on being a ground floor member of building this global brand. We are on our billion-dollar run. There's only been 5 companies on this entire planet that have ever hit $1 billion in their first 5 years. And that's Groupon and Amazon and Priceline and these companies that are doing global e-commerce. And Nerium will do it in their 4th year. And we have 4 products in 4 countries. That's insane. That's a clue. That tells you that something is going on. Something must be right, that we are growing that fast and having that much success with just a couple of products in just a couple of countries. So we are still very, very ground floor. Still, if you went outside your home today and you knocked 10 doors to your left and 10 doors to your right, probably 80% of your neighbors have never heard of Nerium in your own backyard. And that's how you grow internationally, is by growing at home. You know, I didn't know anybody in Korea, not one person. I put a message out on Facebook and said, hey, who knows somebody in Korea? And I got a couple of responses, two responses of people that knew someone in Korea. And we just opened Korea officially last week. And me personally, I have 150 team members in Korea. Not because I knew them, but because I knew someone who knew someone, and my team knew someone who knew someone, and so on and so on. So that's how you build in other countries, is by referrals, by, 3-4 degrees of separation, by building big in the United States in your own backyard, and it will trickle out globally for you. So, why you? My simple answer is, why not you? You might be skeptical about the industry. You may have been burned before. You might have grown tired of all the work you put into building something. You might have been in the wrong company with the wrong product, with the wrong leadership. You might have been involved in a company that wasn't proprietary. For example, energy drinks, when they first came out, big deal, huge space, made a lot of people a lot of money, different juices and energy drinks and all potions and stuff. But guess what? There was nothing proprietary. There was nothing patented. So there was nothing to stop Costco, Walmart, from coming in, copying that, making their own version of the same thing, and putting the direct marketing space out. And that's exactly what happened. So again, it speaks to the fact of wanting to align yourself with something that nobody else can take away from you. I just say this, you know what? If you want an indication of what the next 5 years of your life are going to look like, look at the last 5, right? Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. But literally, it costs you more to start a lemonade stand than it does to start your Nerium business. So think about that. That blows my mind. I don't know why somebody wouldn't invest a minimal amount if they really knew what was at stake. And I could put it to you this way. How long would it take you to save $1 million? Like, sock it away. How long would you have to work if today you started your run to save $1 million in the bank? It's going to take a long time, right? Because you're only able to save your extra money, for example. If you were to save $1 million in the bank and live off that interest or draw interest from that, that's going to give you about $3,000 a month. So you can spend the next 5 years, 10 years saving so that you can draw $3,000 a month. Or you can get on this train that is moving at warp speed, that's setting all the records, that they're going to write books about, they're going to write movies about one day, and be getting your $3,000 a month, I don't know, 2 months, 6 months, a year? What if it took you 2 years to be getting $3,000 a month extra from Nerium? What if you were getting an hour a day and it gave you $3,000 a month and it took you a year to get there? What if it took you 2 years to get your $50,000 bonus? What if it took you 5? Who cares? Because probably at your day job, there is no $50,000 bonus. There is no $1.5 million bonus. Or if there is for you, but there's not for everybody, right? So you get to bring your family along with you. Who do you love? Your parents, your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your kids. How excited to be able to travel the world with them at the expense of Nerium? Go on free trips or open new countries together. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and she's a brand partner with us too. She earned the cruise. She earned a Lexus. She's set up. My sister, national marketing director. She's a full-time teacher. She does this very, very, very part-time, but she's been doing it for 3 years, and it took her 3 years to get her $50,000 bonus, whereas it took me 4 months. So what? I was working harder. I was working faster. She took her time. She still got it, right? So your parents, my mom, I mean, isn't it feel good to be able to offer something to help your friends and family out of the rut that they're in? It might not just be finances. People do this for all other reasons. They like to help people. It's a great way to help people, even if it's just to help people feel better about the way they look. Positive relationships. We're all about self-development. You know, Jeff Olson said on a call the other day that you'll spend more time working on yourself than you will on this business. Your insecurities don't really have anywhere to hide. You are forced out of your comfort zone on many levels. You're forced to grow. And who you become along the way will help you in other areas of your life, even if you're in traditional business. Help you be a better teacher, help you be a better doctor, help you be a better nurse, help you be a better accountant, whatever it is. And also an opportunity to give back. We support cancer research. We give 30% of every bottle back to cancer research. We gave over $1 million to Big Brothers Big Sisters last year, and we've already beat that so far this year. We have Live Happy Magazine, which is just all about positive psychology, or whatever way that you want to give back, providing yourself some extra funds to be able to do that. So I always tell people, you know what? Paint yourself the worst case scenario. What's the worst thing that can happen? Is you invest $500, you get your product, you get your bottles, and you just never even open your box. Maybe you put a doily over it and stick a plant on it, and then you just bought yourself a $500 plant stand. But that's as bad as it gets. There's no bleeding. You don't have to keep shelling out every month. That's it. And then let's say you just open your box and at least use the product for yourself. Then you gave yourself a 5 or 6 month advance purchase on your personal product. But what if you could take that $500 and parlay that into your kids' college fund? Or getting out of the neighborhood you don't want to live in anymore. Or getting your time freedom back because you got a great job and you make great money, but man, you never have time to enjoy it because you're on that corporate treadmill. Or being able to provide an opportunity for somebody that you love to get out of debt or get out of a bad relationship or any other rut that isn't serving them. You know, skin cream doesn't have to be your passion. EHT, brain supplements don't have to be your passion. But Nerium can fund your passion. With a minimal time investment and a good attitude and being willing to be coachable and sharing something that you like, you can transform the trajectory of your life, of your finances. Just like if you went to a new restaurant and liked the steak, you tell a few friends, hey, go check out the steak down there, it's great. You see a new movie, you tell your friends, oh my gosh, you got to go see that movie, it's so funny. Somebody cuts your hair that you like, you're like, oh, you got to go see my friend Mary Beth, she's such a great stylist, you got to go check her out. We do that all day anyway. So what if you were saying, hey, I'm using this great anti-aging product, you gotta check it out. Or I can't believe those differences in my skin, you gotta check this out. Or man, I've been taking this supplement for a couple of weeks and I can't believe the effect it's having on me. That's all we do. There's no sales pitch, there's no catalog, there's no parties, there's no sit down at Starbucks with everybody for an hour, explain to them where the Oleander came from and who Jeff Olson is and how to get elected. It's just like, hey, you know what? I'm excited about this, check it out. Read this, watch this, listen to this, or try this. And if they read, watch, listen, or try, they're either going to be more interested or less interested. And if they're less interested, you don't have to try to convince them that they're wrong. You just appreciate their feedback and move on. If they're more interested, then you share with them how to get it, how to buy it, or how to sell it. That's it. Repeat, 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 repeat. So, that's why Nerium, that's why now, that's why you. And I have a feeling that after listening to this call, you're in the same boat. You're either less interested or you're more interested. And if you're more interested, I really encourage you to do some due diligence. Do whatever you need to do to make a confident decision on whether or not this is something you want to do. Because the worst thing you can really do at this point is wait. Wait for the baby to be born, wait for school to start, wait for, the move to happen or whatever. Because as you're waiting, somebody else is going to be talking to your friends. Somebody else is learning about Nerium somewhere else, and they're going to be calling your friends. So if you haven't got to a place where you're fully convinced yet or ready to give it a run, that's okay. But take the next step. The person who invited you to this call has other videos you can watch, has live events you can go to, has white papers you can read. He can get you on a call with me or somebody like me to answer your specific questions. And if you're not interested, hey, that's okay too. We're still going to love you. I just appreciate you taking the time. This isn't going to be for everybody. So, with that being said, again, I appreciate your time. I don't take for granted that you hung out with me for this last 30 minutes. And if you're curious, then I would get with the person who invited you to this call and take the next step. So everyone have a great night. Thank you so much.